Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? I'm definitely not a morning person, so this is new to me. I think I'm awake, but I'm not quite sure. For those of you who are joining, good morning. Hopefully you're having a good day so far. I've just been on an hour-long conference call, so I've certainly uh, been productive today. Hopefully you get out of the gate in the morning and be productive too, because I find it really makes a difference with how I feel for the rest of the day. Cool tip. What's up, Robin? Thanks for joining me. Good morning. So I had a lot of really great questions that I'm going to power through here because then I got to hop on a train to New York. Um, and if anyone has questions, of course, pop them in the chat as always. What's up, Jared? Good morning. Okay, so I'm going to start with Jennifer Polanco, who said, what email platform do you use to convert your followers into buyers? I heard of ConvertKit, but I was wondering if there was a better solution out there. So Jennifer, I use ActiveCampaign. ActiveCampaign is one of the more reputable email marketing software tools out there, but there are other great ones. ConvertKit is a great one. I find ActiveCampaign price for what I get is pretty good. Their open rates are pretty good. They're a company that's really on top of the latest technology and GDPR and so on and so forth. Not that others aren't. I mean, honestly, email marketing is kind of a commodity these days. And then to build funnels, I use ClickFunnels because it's easy and there are a lot of people that know how to use it, and you can pretty much do anything you want on ClickFunnels. And I know people who use ClickFunnels Actionetics, which is their version of ActiveCampaign for emails. I've heard mixed things, but honestly, I mean, all the tools are pretty good. It's a matter of how you use them, I find. So. Kimberly, good morning. Dylan, what's up, buddy? Tina, hello. Nigel, what's going on? Thanks for joining. All right, we're going to move on to Cindy. Cindy says, I have a question regarding targeting my niche. I'd like to do a bit of research to find out what my audience is lacking in terms of education. What is the best way to go about this? Hire a marketing research company? No, do not hire a marketing research company. I know one of the best marketing research companies in the US. They handle a lot of really great accounts. They're about $75,000 per engagement. That's like for a focus group and a survey. Brutally expensive. No, I do not recommend that. And you're going to pay for a lot of overhead and other things that you don't need. Cindy, what I recommend is that you go find your target market and start having conversations with them. It's as simple as that. I do this across all my companies. I'm very interested to know people's feedback, good, bad, or indifferent. And then a caveat to this is realize that, as they say in the sales industry, buyers are liars. That's not true always, but there are a lot of people who tell you, you know, if it just had this feature, then I'd buy it, or if it had that, I would buy it, and they wouldn't buy it. So what I want you to do is solicit feedback from people who are in your target market, but don't ask them like, what would you do to make, what can I do to make you buy this? Ask, tell me more about your problems and your challenges and your pain, and deeply understand that. Because if you deeply address that, people will come away thinking, oh, wow, this person really understands me, where really all you're doing is regurgitating things they've already said. So that's what you really want to understand. The solution, and making sure you have the right solution, is a matter of going out and testing, because the only votes you care about are the votes that someone makes with their credit card. Okay, let's go to Patricia. What's up, Patricia? What CRM do you use, and what are the top 3 things you like and 1 thing you would change? Okay, so I use HubSpot, Patricia, and here's my thing about CRMs. CRMs are a wonderful tech gadget. They're a toy. HubSpot costs us $12,000 something per year. Is it worth it? I don't know. The CRM is worth how much time you put into it. To really properly manage a CRM takes a lot of time. And what I have found is that people who should be out selling and having conversations and refining their pitch instead spend time behind their computer putting things into the CRM and making it pretty and filling in data. And those things do not money make. Like, those aren't going to make you rich in and of themselves. If I had a sales team, well, okay, so in the companies that I have a sales team and I need to track their progress and know that they're moving through the activities, it's important for me as a manager to have a CRM so I can know if they're doing their job or not. But if I were a solopreneur, then I would probably use Google Sheets and call it a day, to be honest. Because again, the CRM is only going to be as good as the time you put into it, and you really have to ask yourself, is that something you really want to spend your time doing, updating a CRM versus just keeping a really good record? You want to think about how long is it going to take you to put in the data you need to do follow-ups. I mean, a CRM for an enterprise client makes a lot of sense because there are a lot of touches. For a B2B client, it makes a lot of sense. But otherwise, I mean, what do you really need to know that you need to put into a CRM that you can't get in a 5-second Google search and one line on your sheet that says contacted on 9/14, follow up in 3 months? I don't know. That's just my take on CRMs. I see a lot of people waste a lot of time. So I know I didn't directly address your question, but hopefully that was helpful. And for those of you who are just joining, hello, good morning. How are you? Anisa, what's up? Flora, hello, good morning. Nigel, yeah, buyers are liars. Yes, so Jennifer, HubSpot does have a free version. So, again, if you want to do that, great. Just because it's free doesn't mean it's valuable. So check it out, make sure it's right for you, and ask yourself, what are the things that I really need to know? How is this CRM supposed to help me? Okay, great. All right, let's go to Nicole. Nicole says, thank you for your insight and wisdom in your Monday match. Nicole, I appreciate your kind words. Would you say there are some common, rather effective words that are used to reframe on a regular basis? She's referencing this Monday's email about reframing. A list would be helpful when trying to figure out my own reframe, I assume you're saying. In the Army, we have to do evaluations, and we have a list of action words that we can use or not while trying to quantify a bullet point. Those words kind of help nudge you off a blank page. Hope that makes sense. Yeah, it does, Nicole. And I assume you're in the Army for that, so thank you for your service, first of all. And second of all, yeah, so let's talk about words and word choice. Man, I'm glad you all didn't know me like in my younger years, because I was a real asshole. Like, I did not understand the impact that words had on people. And now that I'm so trained, and I'll tell you about that in a minute, I'm very careful about the words I use and the word choice I have. And if you really listen to the way I engage with people, you'll notice some best practices that you can use to help reframe. Now, I'm going to say there are a lot of ways to reframe depending on the context. I think I responded to Ari about that, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But in this case, I'm going to talk about reframing as it relates to interpersonal communication. So if I'm having a conversation with Patricia or Nisa, or I'm in a sales conversation, or I'm in a conversation with my business partner, or whomever, really, there are lots of opportunities for you to reframe and move that person along in the direction you want. And it has to do with understanding triggers. And it sounds like when you're talking about, we had some action words that we could use or not. Those are trigger words that make someone feel something, either something positive or something negative. And most often, when you listen to conversations, all right, you hear people saying things like, you should do this, or judgment, right? That's stupid. That doesn't make sense. No, you don't understand. All of these things are terrible triggers and terrible ways to talk to someone. Now that you know that, you'll listen for that. Because what happens if I say to you, no, you don't understand, or you've got to, or you should? What do you think? You're like, fuck you, Peter. What do you mean should? I don't have to do anything, right? I'm my own person. It makes everyone take up their arms, right? It's like, that's not productive. When you listen to me speak, and what I would like you to adopt in your own words, okay, is, have you considered, or how does that make you feel, or have you ever tried, or I wonder if. All these things are, creating, oh, like, this is a question we can solve together. For instance, I'm in a contract negotiation with a publicly traded energy company right now. And I went through their Word document yesterday on our contract, and we have all the red line edits, and I went back and forth, and one of the things they pushed back on was just untenable. Like basically, we had written in a clause that, let's say, Google decides to shut down its operations and we can't place their ads, they want to hold us liable for what Google would do. I'm like, that doesn't make sense, right? So in the red line, I gave that example. I was like, if Google tries to shut down tomorrow, we're trying to place your ads, obviously it would be silly to hold us responsible. Even the US government can't control Google at times, right? What other creative options can we jointly consider that would help allay some of your concerns, right? What does that show? It shows openness. It shows a willingness to negotiate and solve their problems. I could have just said, no, we can't agree to this, or that's ridiculous. How can we control Google? But I didn't, okay? And all those things paint a picture in the minds of the people that I'm communicating with. Now, all of a sudden, I'm a creative, open-minded person, where before I would have been, a pain in the ass, essentially. So, what does this mean in marketing? Well, there are certain things in marketing that you can say or not say that will make people feel positive or negative. And I think it boils down to a couple things. One is you want to invite people to feel positive. Invite people to feel positive. And there's a lot to that. Like, for instance, if I say to you, can you imagine for a moment what would happen if tomorrow you could wake up and be a sales and marketing expert? That's inviting you to think of some future that you maybe haven't yet considered. And you start to wonder, oh yeah, what would that look like? The other way I could say that is, you don't know anything about sales and marketing that you should know. And now you're like, well, fuck, I suck. That doesn't put you in a buying mood, now does it? Okay, so word choice, to your point, is really, really important. So, that's not an extensive list, Nicole, but hopefully it gets you thinking about how what you say is going to influence the person that you're speaking with. And listen, I know a lot of very successful people that don't follow these rules. It's not that, being a jerk with your words is going to prevent you from success, which, I always understood. What I didn't understand is there's actually a value to me personally for people to walk away from an engagement with me and actually feel good. Whereas 10 years, I really didn't give a fuck. Now I care a lot more because I feel like, short time on this planet, I should probably help people feel good about themselves and about what they're doing. And I think, though I'm not sure, that has helped me build bridges and build relationships with people and otherwise have a successful go at it. So that was a lot. Hopefully that helps you. And for any of you who are just joining, hey Todd, what's up? By all means, put your questions in the chat. I'm happy to take a look. I'm just reading Todd's comment here. Once you create any kind of push, it creates resistance, which is very difficult to overcome. It's true, Todd, it does. And like, where does resistance exist? It exists in our minds. And it turns out that we can actually control not only our own mental state and emotional state, but the mental and emotional state of the people we interact with. Everyone you come in contact with, Todd, and for all of you, it behooves you to interact with them in such a way that you ask yourself, what kind of mental and emotional state is this person in right now, and can I improve it? Two simple questions. What state is this person in, and can I improve it? And what you'll find is over a series of interactions, people will actually develop a really positive opinion of you. And they develop that opinion whether they know it or not consciously, and whether you know it or not consciously. Because as I talk about with a lot of you, a lot of buyer behavior, because this is directly translatable to salespeople, happens in the subconscious. So it's important to always be training your own subconscious and training the subconscious of the people that you're interacting with. And for those of you in my Level Up forum, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Jared, do you have any detailed information on this? Being from Massachusetts, I've struggled with this all my life. Jared, I'm a Boston man. I'm a Boston boy. Man, Patriots, come on. I mean, why do you think I had such a hard upbringing? My mother grew up very poor, a short Italian Jewish woman who is like a bulldog. Like, to have a conversation with her, you have to put on every piece of armor in the closet just to say good morning to her in the morning. So yeah, tough. There's some tough people from our neck of the woods. But I'll tell you, so I referenced this earlier, so I'll tell you, what's up, Revy? How you doing? What really helped me was EO. When I got into Entrepreneurs Organization, when I built my first $1 million company, they put us through what's called forum training. And for those of you in forum, you're getting a little taste of that, but for us, it was very intense. It was a full day of training us on how to act and interact with people, because the stakes are very high. You know, we're sharing very vulnerable things in our forum that have to do with our businesses, our lives, our spouses, our children. I don't have children, but so, you know, for us to be able to open up like that, we need to know that we are 100% not going to get attacked or judged. And it's very difficult for people to go through forum training and to adopt that system. I've been in forum for 3 years, so now I'm really, you know, up to speed. But I have other friends in EO who either never got into a forum or didn't have enough time to get into, and you can see the difference. And if you talk to any of my forum members, there's 7 of us, they'll give you the same kind of verbiage, you'll have the same kind of conversation. And it's really interesting. It's something you probably would never have noticed if I didn't bring it up. Maybe you would have, maybe not. I certainly wouldn't have. So even pay attention to what I did just there. You know, I started to say to you, you probably have no idea, but then I stopped myself and said, wait, maybe you do, maybe you don't. You know, I invite you to judge for yourself. So those little things, they add up. All right. Yeah, tough love, Jared. Yeah, well, trust me, I'm trying to get to Sarasota myself, so hope to join you in Florida soon. All right, so that was Nicole. Nicole, hopefully that helped you. Let's go to Brandon. Good morning, Peter. Good morning, Brandon. Have you ever raised money for any of your companies? What strategies or routes did you find most effective, and what advice can you offer, as I'm a rookie founder who's never raised capital for a startup? Brandon, please don't raise money for a startup. So when I was at Columbia Business School, we did a class on entrepreneurship, and the instructor was an entrepreneur, thankfully. He was a member of YPO, I'm a member of EO, their sister organizations. And he brought up some statistics about this, which I didn't know. Like, I knew that it was true, that I was, you know, kind of a hardcore bootstrapping kind of entrepreneur, and I know that's the better path, but I didn't have the data. He brought out the data, which shows that 96% of companies in the United States are bootstrapped. 96%. We only hear about the people in Silicon Valley who raised $20 million and then they built a $1 billion empire. What you don't hear about is the entrepreneurs that raised $3 million, thought the world was their oyster and they were going to be billionaires, and then it all went to shit, and now they're living like in a boxcar, like where Tom Black started out. And if you think that's an exaggeration, I have a friend who just got fucked out of his company because his debtors, his venture capitalists, basically took over his loans and kicked him out of all of his equity. This happens all the time. I just got a picture from him of his signing. So, you know, my advice is, please don't think you need to go and raise capital. If you look at the Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing companies in America, of which I'm on for the 2nd year in a row, you will see, again, the statistics that very few CEOs and founders, I think it's like maybe 10%, have ever taken money. The rest, how did they start? Credit cards, like me. Taking out a mortgage on your home, friends and family, angels, selling your antique car that your grandfather gave you. I mean, whatever, you know, there's all kinds of ways to raise capital for your startup. What I did, I charged about $50,000 to credit cards, thought I was going to die, go under. I didn't. And I used that money to only sell. I used it to sell. I didn't buy equipment, I didn't buy anything. I went out and sold my first thing. I had nothing, but I still went out and hit the pavement and sold my first client, and I used that money to buy the first set of equipment, the second client to buy the next set of equipment, the third, and so on and so forth, and bootstrapped it. It took 4 years to pay off that $50,000. And now we make $50,000 in a week or two. So, you know, things change and it gets better. Anyway, so Brandon, you know, hopefully that helps. I didn't answer your question on how to go raise money, but you don't need us for that. You know, you can, you know, there are meetups in every area connecting entrepreneurs to investors. Google has, I think it's, I don't remember what it's called, Google has a series of entrepreneur meetups that happen around the country in cities big and small that connect you to entrepreneurs. I'm here in New York, so we have New York Angels, which allows entrepreneurs to come in and pitch all the time. There are more opportunities to connect you with investors than ever, but please think about whether that's a road you want to go down. As many of you have heard me say, if I wanted to raise money, I would go work for a charity. Okay. Ari asked about reframing being appropriate for all industries. Ari said, I feel like I'm persuading them that they need a CPA. It may not be someone I would want to work with, and maybe I'm not understanding it. So my response to Ari, for those of you who didn't see it, is reframing depends on the situation. Okay, it's if you're trying to convince someone they need a CPA, you have to ask yourself, are they sitting around wondering, man, my life would be so much better if I only had a CPA? You have to ask the right questions, and the question you ask has to be the question in their mind. Does that make sense? So what are they sitting around wondering? Write those down. And then how do you connect those challenges or questions to, I need a CPA? If you can bridge that gap, then you're fine. Then you're going to sell all day long because you will have presented them with a solution they probably have not thought of. And if you can do that logically and emotionally, that's sales. That's what sales is. All right, so hopefully that helps. Miss Vincent, you're on the call with me, I think. Kimberly's here, I believe. Hello, Heather. How are you? Good morning. All right, so Kimberly's having two problems: retention with therapists and sales, increasing clientele. Okay, so Kimberly has a, your practice is, it's not therapy like psychotherapy, it's therapy like massages and things like that, if I remember correctly. But as luck would have it, I actually have a friend who owns a therapist practice, like behavioral therapy. And she has the same problem, right? The therapists that work under her are kind of pseudo-employees, mostly independent contractors, and guess what? She can't control them. You can't control a model like that. It's not possible. You basically have built a franchise model under one roof, and you can only control franchisees to a certain extent, and then it's beyond you. So there are two things here. One is retention. As long as your therapists are independent contractors, that's going to be brutally hard because they're looking out for themselves. If you want better retention, hire them as full-time employees and take the risk that you're not going to have enough work to support them, which brings me to point number two, which is what I want to hear about Kimberly Vincent's practice is that it's highly differentiated because it has some gimmick, for lack of a better word, that the market deeply understands and that the market really wants. I want to hear about those four things, because if you satisfy those four things, then people will come to you. What Broadway play is it? She says, you got to get a gimmick. Man, so I took my tongue, I'm forgetting. Anyway, that would be my advice to you, because it sounds like the problem is actually differentiation. Because think about it, if you had a really good differentiator and you really solved people's problems, they would come to you, and when they come to you, you have more clients, and when you have more clients, the best therapists come to you because they want to work with more clients to get paid more, and so on and so forth. So you always want to go to the root of the problem, which to me sounds like a differentiation problem. Time to perhaps look at my matchmaker system. For those of you who took notes on the matchmaker system and what that looks like, perhaps you want to share them with Kimberly and see if that would help, because there's an alignment issue here. Okay. Hopefully that helps. What I would like to see, Kimberly, from you is for you to think on that and then come back in my next live stream and ask the next question. All right, I thought about that, but now I have these three questions, and let's keep going. All right, Manuela. Hello, Peter. Could you please share your thoughts on trademarking one's business name? It appears that many in my professional organizing field have been served with cease and desist letters. As a result, most are recommending trademarking as soon as one selects their business name. All right, Manuela, here's the deal with trademarking. I happen to know quite a bit about this. A legal trademark is created upon the creation of the work. What does that mean? If I come up with a new business name and I name it and I put it on a Word document, and I save that Word document, and I go and I file it with articles of amendment at the State House, a trademark, a legal protection trademark is created. I can put the TM there. I don't need to file anything. It exists. Okay. If I want to register it with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, I have to submit an application to the USPTO, and then if it's accepted, I get the R. And there are a lot of different ways to trademark, and you have to categorize it and so on and so forth. Okay. There are a couple important things about this. The first is when trademarks are created automatically, they're typically state by state, which is weird because when you file for a registered trademark, it's federal. So I can't quite figure out why, but that's neither here nor there. For instance, we wanted to use a tagline that we came up with. It was Gem Advertising, Be Brilliant. I thought that was pretty good. The problem was that before we came up with it, unbeknownst to us, a company in Florida had come up with the same thing. They were like a photography company, different field, okay? And it was Be Brilliant. They had not filed it. It was not a registered trademark. We did not find it in the USPTO, but they could prove that they owned it before we did, which was fine. Now, so what happened? Well, what happened is we can still use that trademark. We can use it in every single state in the union, except for Florida. And they can use it in every state in the union, except for Connecticut. Okay, so no harm, no foul. At the same time, Ameriprise Financial came out with Ameriprise, Be Brilliant. Now, they developed this about a year after we did and 2 years after the company in Florida did, okay? Now, Ameriprise is a massive enterprise company, financial firm, and here's the deal. If we wanted to say to Ameriprise, send them a cease and desist letter and say, hey, we developed that before you did, so you can't use that anymore. What do you think is going to happen? You think we're going to win that? No. They're going to throw their $1,200 an hour lawyers at us, and they're going to bury us for the next 5 years. So my point is, even if we had a registered trade, even if it was registered, still not going to be able to fight Ameriprise Financial. So what's my point? My point is there are only so many things you can do. You actually have legal protection as soon as you create something, unless a Fortune 500 company decides to crush you. And so if you pick a name that's like your name, you're not going to have to worry about a whole lot of things. If you pick a name that's a weird word, you're probably not going to have to worry about too many things. And in general, I don't like worrying about a lot of things because I think worry causes people to age fast. So anyway, I don't know if that was a complete answer, but that is my answer nonetheless. All right. What else we have? What else we have? Kimberly, yeah, massage therapy. Yeah, that's what I had remembered. Aaron, Ari, what's up? So listen, I'm at the end of what I have. If you have any other questions, then please, by all means, pop them in the chat. And if not, it's 9. I need to catch a train into Manhattan today. It's rainy and absolutely miserable here in southern Connecticut, but c'est la vie. So I'm glad you guys are enjoying the Monday matches. I think I have like one more scheduled, and then I'm kind of screwed. I need to write some more. But, you know, as always, take feedback on those. For those of you who have undoubtedly heard about the masterclass webinar that Sean is doing on Thursday night, please sign up and go to that. It's Sean. He's going to just kick ass and take names. The stuff he's going to teach is going to be pretty much the system he used to not only build a huge following on Instagram, but then monetize it, which for any of you who have dreams of working on the beaches of, Tahiti one day, that could be kind of interesting. All right, so I guess, let me just check. Oh, wait, I've got a question from Flora. All right, last one, because then I really do have to go. Flora, I've created a new free gift, 3 reasons why most online businesses fail and how to prevent it. And I'm currently running an ad with a daily spend of $7. It's been running for 2 weeks. When folks click on the ad link, it goes to my website to sign up, and only 2 people have signed up from the ad. I've tweaked it a few times to get more traction, but it's not working. I assume your question is, what do I do now? So we have a client who does Facebook ads is a small part of what he does. He mostly sets up e-commerce stores. But when he places Facebook ads, he does it in what's called his 3x3 system. He places 3 different ads with 3 different target markets. So he has ad A going to target market 1, 2, 3, ad B going to 1, 2, 3, ad C going to 1, 2, 3. What does that do? It tells him which ad lines up with which market. It also tells him where the problem is. Is the problem with the ads or is the problem with the segmentation? And he uses that to continually split test so that he knows where the sweet spot is. Because otherwise, Flora, we're just putting ads out and shouting in the dark. Like, I have a client right now in Texas who is pissing me off because he's our smallest client. And for any of you who have clients, you know that small clients are always the most pain in the ass. And he wants the results of $21,000 a month in ad spend for $7,000 a month. And it's not going to happen. It's not enough. There isn't enough testing that can happen to sell his $500,000 homes to be able to give him those results. And no matter how many times he says that, we tell him that, he doesn't want to hear it. So long story short, testing. No marketer in the world is so brilliant that they can put out an ad first run and make $1 million. If that were true, don't you think they would turn around and start teaching how to do that? So no, instead, the lesson, the things that any of us marketers can teach you is it's all about testing your assumptions, testing the messaging, testing the design, testing the market. When you find a sweet spot, great, run with it. But guess what? Even that's going to last only a matter of days, weeks, maybe months. And then it's going to be time to change again. So anyway, marketing, constant evolution. All right, people, I have to run. Hopefully you all enjoyed that. And I bid you adieu. Take care.